Tuesday. It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Byrne. As always, I have the ladies with me. Did I strike a chord with you?
No, I'm good though.
You
you cannot strike any chord with
I'm
very I'm very good. You know, I was driving down this one and I was just thinking to myself, like, I have done business without the benefits of mentorship. And I am grateful to God for the benefit of mentorship. So I had a session yesterday. So we acquired land in Ekpe, and it's been Omonile. Like, I went to school and they taught me that Omonile would disturb and this is how you should prepare. But like, it's not the same thing when you're on the field. You know, the surveyor will cut. They say it's 20 acres. My surveyor says 18 acres. Somebody, Google says 19 acres. I'm like, what do I do? Firsthand. So I had to now go and see my mentor. And, you know, by the time I left yesterday, I had like clarity on this is how I'm going to deal with the situation in a way that I won't have to be fumbling around and making costly mistakes because I have guidance. So as much as possible, and I know that many people would ask us or ask people like, come and mentor me. When you have access to mentors, you don't abuse those relationships. You regard them and you respect their time as well. But it is huge, the mileage you would have when you have somebody telling you, don't do that. That will not work for you. Do this. You know? So I'm grateful for mentorship.
I'm fine, thank you.
I like when you wear this dress. I was like, it's very girly and pretty. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah. So I was at the Celebration Symposium yesterday.
As represented.
You were there? Was there as well.
I'm so glad.
Was there. Nima was there as well. Bolaji, one of our producers, was also there. So, you know, first thoughts was like it was a lot scaled down because of COVID. So there was compliance of COVID protocols. Yeah. We had to socially distance. And then the speakers. First of all, it was just marvelous that we had Femi Falana as the moderator. So, of course, you understand the intelligence just everywhere. Yes. And then we had the wild card show. YK's brother. Great perspective. But for me, what I really appreciated was the honesty. Yesterday was like everyone was speaking from the depth of their hearts. Enough with the political correctness, enough with the, worrying about sensibilities. This is what we're going through, and it looks like we need to stand up and organize ourselves now. So,
that was one word that kept coming over and over again. Yeah. Organize, participate. And people were willing to. I think that we're not giving as much awareness as we should to celebration, especially the symposium, because that's a huge platform.
Was it shown live?
Yes, it was on DSTV. Yes, it was shown live.
How are you doing? I'm doing great. So I've decided to empower Nigerians in my own little way, in my own little corner. And so I partnered with GAPTIP, Global Access Tech Inclusion Program, for people who are interested in becoming data analysts and data scientists. I'm going to be giving, the course itself for one person is what, 600K, and I'm going to be giving it out to 80 Nigerians to participate. And one of the things you're going to learn is if you want to become a data analyst, the person will become you learn data analytics, you learn data science and machine learning. All you need is a laptop and internet to go through this program. It's based in the US, and the class will start in November. I'm going to be putting up the main details. You're not paying a dime. If you're a young Nigerian, the world is moving very fast, and we need data analysts. We need people in the tech industry, in the IT industry. And this is where I think that I can help some Nigerians.
That's the job for the future.
That's the job for the future.
So proud.
That's my brother's job.
Yeah. So proud of you. That's fantastic. 80 Nigerians benefit from
80 Nigerians.
Congratulations.
Well done. Thank you.
Thinking about others.
Thank you.
Well, how is it going? Everything going?
It's going well.
Really?
Don't even ask me because... let me not even tell you how it's going.
Like
it's going okay.
It's going well.
We'll say it off camera.
Off camera is better because trust me, there's some things that you just...
Serious drama.
Drama because of the...
It is well.
Let's go on a break. Let me not say it on national TV before they come and arrest me. You are telling our family business on national television. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Let's start with the punch today. States lament deductions, demand probe subsidy rises to 8.2 billion naira daily. Lagos nurses kick against 20,000 naira demand for retirement celebration. Lassa fever kills 77 in Edo, Ondo, others, and 356 hospitalized. 250 investors lament as 20 billion naira agribusiness scheme promoted by Nollywood actors collapse. ICPC arraigned ex-presidential aide Obono Obla for certificate forgery. Evacuated destitute area boys to be kept for monitoring, says Ondo. Punch files FOI request on military, police salary structures, pensions. Experts differ, as Oshimajo says, exchange rate of artificially low. And work begins on 16.39 trillion naira budget. Senate panel gets document today. Let's start with the major headline.
Yes, can't find the picture, but I have the story. The government, the head of the commissioners of all the states, his name is David Olofo, mentioned the fact that the states are complaining concerning the dwindling allocation NNPC is remitting. So it's a follow-up to the story we took yesterday, where NNPC did not budget for 2022 to pay subsidy, but they didn't budget for 2021 too, and they are currently paying subsidy. And according to what the GMD said, it's a heavy load. They cannot lament. The commissioners, the head of the Council of Commissioners for all states in Nigeria is saying that they want to complain. The only person they can complain to and ask to probe the situation is the National Assembly, because currently Nigeria is spending 8 billion daily subsidizing fuel, and it is paid privately from NNPC, which means that NNPC is unable to remit the quantum they should. Prices of fuel have increased to, this crude oil has increased to $84 per barrel, and that should mean we are getting more revenue. But in May, nothing was remitted. In June, less was remitted, and it will continue to dwindle like that because of the subsidy gap is widening. So the states are complaining that they don't have resources because they don't have enough money coming from allocation. The Minister of Petroleum for Nigeria remains the president, and our president hasn't said anything concerning this. And I believe that there should be proper budgeting for fuel subsidy in 2022 and not leave it to NNPC to carry the burden they are not meant to.
Okay.
Yeah.
The story of the investors.
Yes.
So over 250 investors, they say may have lost their savings because they invested with the Eat Rich Farms and Food Limited Lagos State. I think a lot of us got some messages that they were sending to us about the investment gone bad. Said some people put in 2 million, 1 million, 500,000. They had different schemes. They had agriculture. They had fish farming. And one of the promises they gave to investors was that the businesses were insured with Leadway. Unfortunately, only one of the business was insured, which was the fish farming. But then they still carried on with the logo of Leadway, according to Leadway now, narrating the story and presented it on all other forms of the businesses. And so Leadway has come out to say that they are not involved in that. The only insurance that they have is on the fish farming. The person is, the offices have been locked in the different locations. I think there's one in Ikoyi locked. People are dying. There was a particular investor who needed money because she had cancer, wanted to get the money out, and the money was stuck. Nobody was able to get their money. The guy is running helter-skelter. They haven't seen him. They haven't heard from him. Exactly. So they used them actors, 2 actors. There's a Blessing, there's an Ademola who fronted for as ambassadors, and so people trusted the integrity of the actors. Those ones are still looking for the owner of the business to pay back.
It's actually very cheap. Do you know that insurance costs less than 6% to pay for insurance on every project you are doing? And I don't know why Nigerians wouldn't do this. Yeah. It's 6%.
The other question would be, was Leadway aware that they were using their
logo and didn't say anything
for the other businesses? I have a story, a funny story actually. So some nurses in Alimosho local government area are complaining about a 20,000 naira that has been forced upon them to be paid for the director of all heads of nurses. So she's the Apex Directorate of all the primary health centers in the Alimosho area. Her name is Kudirat Odunoye. She's supposed to be retiring, and she has asked all these nurses, they allegedly asked these nurses to contribute 20,000 naira towards her retirement, or else, and then she threatened them. Whoa. So many of them are saying they are so afraid. We know that, obviously, she's the head of nurses. Their jobs may be
on the line.
How did this story make front page?
I don't get it.
It's important.
Yeah.
because these nurses are saying, why would they force them to pay money? And also there's a huge threat of being punished if they do not pay. Anyway, the lady herself was asked, she was like, I'm about to retire. Of course, there's a committee that is usually set up for occasions like this. I'm not a part of that committee, as you would, understand, because I'm the one that is retiring. I'm not the first or the last person that this committee would be set up for. So I have not asked anyone or threatened anybody. Committee head who says nobody has been threatened. We just asked them to,
maybe the nurses don't want to pay.
But so the reason why I think it made headlines, sometimes it's good to just speak. The thing is, you cannot threaten people if you're just asking people to make contributions.
But this, when we're working with civil service, I realize that this retirement thing is a big deal.
It is. So birthday and
that day, there's somebody retiring, there's this party,
and they
there's a big
for
deal.
like 25 to 30 years.
So I'm not sure exactly. I don't know why it made front page, because this should be an internal rank.
But they are complaining now.
Governments to please intercede.
Yeah.
You
don't threaten them.
It's human interest. It's human.
There are levels of.
You don't threaten them.
Let's move on to The Nation. Somebody knows somebody in Punch that puts it on.
I knew you were going to go there.
The Nation. Buhari lists achievements. World Bank, Nigeria, others low-income nations piled up 860 billion naira debts in 2020. Naira exchange should reflect market reality, says Osinbajo. And the governorship race for the forgotten, says Oni. Sit at home continues in Southeast. Police warned the hashtag #EndSARS protesters in Lagos and Osun, and why I stopped in the Witsikano for burial, says Judge. Okay, Zoe?
Sit at home. The Southeast governors and leaders have resolved to end the sit at home, which usually happened every Monday. But it seemed like the residents are still afraid, because this Monday, that was yesterday, the whole place was like a ghost town. Nobody was able to come out. Even the few people who tried to go to their offices, they found that the offices were locked, the shops were locked, but everywhere was really closed. And some of the residents are saying that they are not sure that there's enough security to protect them, and so they are not coming out. But we know that the Christian clerics had a meeting, and they had promised that they were going to engage IPOB. They had promised that they were going to ask the federal government to give them like an amnesty. They were going to resolve the conflict. So hopefully things will, begin to happen well in the Southeast, hopefully.
So there was a 2-day retreat that they had, the president had, where they have the story?
Yeah, I have the story.
Please go ahead, please.
The secretary to the government, Boss Mustafa, has said that, during this 2-day retreat, as Mariah mentioned, that the country has, that this particular administration in the past 2 years has been remarkable and productive. And he gave a list of some of the things that they have done between May 2019 and August 31st, 2021 that has made it remarkable. He said FEC held 52 meetings, 579 approvals were granted, 381 contracts were given, 110 policies were made, 88 briefs and notes were taken.
Like that now,
no, I read it. I took the reports. Okay. When I finish, then you can add your own. Let me finish. Then, explained it how that in doing that, this 319 policies and everything, he said, with the introduction of ministerial mandates by the president, there's greater clarity of expectations of MDAs on deliverables of government achieve demonstrable results. Just saying that all these things he's mentioned, it's just government's way of showing that, they are doing the best to meet the needs of Nigeria.
Okay, let me read the one I read. Okay. Because the same story I read that they said they have now started local productions of weapons so they can reduce cost of buying from abroad. It says they've had 13.3 billion naira for community policing. They said they've the second quarter 2021 GDP growth rate of 5%. They're saying that they've opened up the power sector with willing seller and willing buyers. I know what that means. The 75 billion naira youth innovation fund. The infrastructure, they say they have an ongoing completed projects at Lagos-Ibadan rail line, Itakpe-Ajaokuta rail line, and the ones that are ongoing right now is Lagos-Ibadan road, second Niger bridge, upgrading of airports and extra. So
no, that is topical. That topic is different. The head of them is different. Because I'm checking. I just see.
Let's go on a break. You want to be on to story in Nation? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I do. Please, quickly. Let me quickly take the story. the contests going on in, there's going to be election in Ekiti State. The former governor of Ekiti State, who was Chief Segun Oni, said yesterday that he's getting back into the race to recontest for governorship within Ondo State, and that his race is for the forgotten, So apparently he's appealing to those that have been forgotten in the state of Ondo, and maybe, who knows, he should communicate with them.
Okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're moving on to Daily Sun. Osinbajo recommends devaluation of Naira. We're working on Nnamdi Kanu's release, says Ekwere Madu. 3 people's siblings feared killed as commercial vehicle runs over them. Pandora Papers, I have $15 million, not $500 million in offshore accounts. Buhari's second term productive and remarkable, says SGF. I think that's the story that you took. Designate Enugu as oil-bearing state, says Gwayin. And second Niger built Lagos about all those to be completed by 2023, says Buhari. Okay, evaluation of Naira.
Major headline.
Major headline. Go ahead, please.
So the Vice President, still talking during the mid-term ministerial review, mentioned the fact that the policy framework the CBN is deploying is counterproductive, in that we cannot get inflow of dollar because of the difference between official rate and the market rate. You cannot be giving official rate of $411, 411 Naira, when the market rate is 565. People will not want to follow the official rate to bring in money. And that the CBN's intervention of $2, and I got $2 actually, I got $2 on that.
It's helping you, it's very good.
But the point is that you are getting dollar at 411. Most of my clients don't want to send money officially at 411. They rather use other means to send their money, where they will be getting at least close to 560 something. The difference is too much. It doesn't bring official cash flow of Forex into the country. So the VP I support is saying that there should be
they should allow
the official rates and allow it to float, so that, and I know if you want to now do interventions
that means
for
devaluation,
MSME, not devaluation, official rates is already devalued. People are if you want to buy dollar right now, if you're not a business owner, you are buying something. So some people are benefiting from these artificially low rates, and they are making a kill at the expense of our country. So the VP is saying, make it free, you will get more inflow, and we would have true representation of what the value we have is. And the CBN can be doing some policies while the Minister of Trade is doing some policies that the person should flow through the Ministry of Trade and not CBN.
I like that if it works, but these 3 school children were killed on Monday when a commercial vehicle ran over them. This happened in Ilesha, Osun State. According to the story, they said the children were on their way to school when this happened. And so residents were very upset. They blocked the roads. And motorists had to find another way to get to their destination. The children have been taken to the hospital. I think they died. Investigations are ongoing on how they can resolve the issues. But as at the time of this report, their names were not given. We don't know about their families.
So there was a raid, according to the spokesperson of BIM Masob, saying that's the Biafra Independence Movement, saying that they had broken into their office, saying naval personnel, according to the story. And they're saying that they carted away with many of their documents and 11 million naira, which were contributions of members. And they're using this opportunity to tell members of the public that they are not IPOB, they're different, and that they condemn the raiding of the organization's office in its entirety. Okay, is there any other story we haven't taken there? Let's move on now to Vanguard. Okay, we talked about the Naira devalue. That's experts kick as Osinbajo seeks play of market forces. Violence worsens with killings in Imo, Enugu, fear in Umuahia. APC moves to avert crisis, reconstitutes reconciliation committee. Grant amnesty to Kanu Igboho to end separatist agitations, Methodist pilot tells Buhari. NSAS police kick as Showore plans memorial protest. Seplat gets government support in energy transition bid. I wanted to read that story. Nigeria must decisively tackle debt challenges, says Additional. And where Nigeria went wrong, says Asiodu. All right, which story are we taking here?
Want to go? Okay, so the president of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Additional, has asked the federal government to decisively resolve the nation's debt challenges to trigger economic growth. So he says the Debt Management Office in September gave the federal and state government debt to be 35.5 million at the end of the second quarter of 2021. He also says that the Nigeria's debt service to revenue ratio was high, but the debt to GDP ratio is still moderate. You know, we have our finance minister almost saying the same thing. And he promised that our economy will survive if only the federal government will remove the structural bottlenecks that limits revenue earning potential of non-oil sectors. We talked about diversification. And, well, he didn't give the details of how that will work, but we should look into diversifying into other aspects of the economy. And they are also projecting that Nigeria's economic growth will rebound to 2.4% this year and reach 2.9% by 2021, based on two critical factors, which is access to vaccination. If we're able to get everybody vaccinated and also tackling our debt issues, we may be able to come out of inflation.
Let me add to that, because I took the story in another paper and just like a other side to it. So this is talking about the World Bank was saying that many low-income countries, including Nigeria, have piled up a debt of 860 billion because of the pandemic. It says a lot of countries, as a result of the pandemic, they pumped in a lot of money into health emergency measures and packages, you know, stimulus packages to help during that period. And many of the countries who are already vulnerable, Nigeria inclusive, just, you know, further went deeper into debt. And it's saying that, so the World Bank is saying that it's important that a comprehensive approach to the debt problem is done, because this will bring about swifter restructuring and improved transparency, and that sustainable debt levels are vital for economic recovery and poverty reduction. So even though, you know, so this makes the point of the president of the Federal African Development Bank, Akinwumi Additional, even though, you know, the GDP ratio, the debt to the GDP ratio looks good, tolerable, the debt burden is quite high and would affect, you know, it will cause poverty and affect all further investments coming into our country.
We're a low-income country.
Before, since when? You didn't know?
Why were we not?
We have always been. Now we're deceiving ourselves all along.
The prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Dr. Samuel Chukwuemeka Kanu Uche, advised the president to grant amnesty to detained IPOB leader and Sunday Igboho. And he's also saying that if the public pay some of these 25,000 naira stipends to some of these Boko Haram repentants, that might begin to take them off poverty. And it's also asking that maybe it's time for us to listen to Sheikh Gumi, because remember, initially everybody was criticizing Sheikh Gumi. But he's saying that, listen, maybe this man has some kind of a link and he has their listening ears. So maybe we should engage him to talk to these bandits, because obviously we are at the point where we must dialogue with these people, and the offensive might not be the right approach anymore. So he's also asking that the government should begin to have engagement with Sheikh Gumi, who can then help us see how we can get the Boko Haram repentance people to reconcile back into the society.
Follow up with that, there's a lot of mayhem happening in the southeast. It's a violence worsened with killings in Imo, Enugu, and panic in Umaya. Apparently, government attacked a police station, adopted a female cop. Imo indigenous military officer killed in Izobe clash. Actually, villagers in Imo, in a particular village in Imo State, called on the military officer to come and rescue them, and the person that they wanted to rescue from resisted arrest. They ended up killing the military man, who is an indigene of that state. There's a lot of violence going on everywhere. So I think if I would support the carrot and stick approach. Like, we must use stick, but at least also listen to how we can resolve the issues, because we're losing lives that are avoidable to these challenges.
We have to wrap up right now, the front page review. That's all we can take. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So today on the show, we're examining the activities of the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority officials, popularly known as LASTMA. You know, there was a time I said the fear of LASTMA
is the beginning of wisdom.
Because when you see that LASTMA official, you know that you have to check either you're using the phone or make sure that everybody in car is sitting properly with their seatbelts. Now, we'd like to hear your own thoughts and views on the show. Later on the show, we'll be having the Public Relations Officer of the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, Mr. Olumide Filade. He's currently somewhere right now, but he'll certainly call in a moment. But please call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also send us messages on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be happy to read your messages. Now, the reason why we wanted to make this a topic today is because we've gotten loads and loads of messages of people complaining of extortion, harassment, and we also know that on the flip side, LASTMA has been very, very effective in Lagos in helping to control traffic because for those of you that don't know what Lagos was before LASTMA, trust me, you have no idea because Lagos was a chaotic city. But when LASTMA was introduced, there was sanity on our roads in how traffic was managed. But obviously, everything good always has, at some point, is always mismanaged. So that's why we're using this opportunity to let our callers call in so that if there's something the officials are not seeing, they can begin to see and understand better because people are complaining of extortions in some areas and saying that LASTMA officials are compromised in certain areas because also LASTMA, some of them have lost their lives. I've seen videos where they've been killed, dragged, beaten up.
Yes.
So how do the government also protect the LASTMA officials from criminal elements, from people who are brutalizing them? So these are the two sides of the conversation I'd like us to touch on today. Who'd like to go first?
So I don't drive around often. I have like a short, regular transit route that I take on a daily basis. And I've had very good relationship with the LASTMA officials that are stationed there. The few times I've had challenges when I see new faces show up. And it's the same challenges that we have, which is people lurking and wanting you to flout the rule. When you commit the offense, then they jump out and apprehend you. And it is not with the aim of taking you to the office and taking you through the process. It is with the aim of unknowingly delaying you so that you would be compelled to sort them and move on. And I think that it's because we don't value time and we don't value correction. The most, and it's because we're discussing LASTMA, it's prevalent in all our law enforcement agencies. The aim is to apprehend and privately sort themselves, not to correct you. So it's not correctional. It is not to let the funds flow to the right source, which is the government. It is to personally satisfy themselves and, more importantly, to just delay you because we don't value time. So for me, I would appreciate if the LASTMA officials, and there's something called, like, technology helps this thing. Everybody in the world are using body cams, and it helps because it helps the official to be able to capture the face of whoever wants to hurt them. At the same time, it helps the citizens also to be protected, knowing that if you try anything, your camera is capturing you, you cannot switch it off. Right. I think that
Miriam, let me come to you. What have you been experienced with LASTMA?
Well, I don't have any recent experience with LASTMA, and from some of the things that you mentioned, for me, I've had my most recent experience has actually been with the police, and I see VIO a lot on the road. But with LASTMA, I used to have, especially in my area, there used to be a time that it was really bad. It just stopped you for no reason. But recently, almost as if there was a change in attitude. So that's my own personal experience. Of course, I'm not talking for everyone. And one thing, though, I noticed is if there's this opposite the stadium, the National Stadium, the road is a one-way road. So you can't come in through that road. You only drive out of the road. And recently, I noticed that there are lots of bikes just parked, lined up, alongside that road. And cars are now driving against the one-way traffic. And just beside it, you have LASTMA, you have the police. And I remember stopping a LASTMA official and saying, why is this road like this? Because also there are people, hawkers selling. So that road has now become so congested when it never used to be that way. And he said, well, they've taken this away from us and handed it over to the police. We can't do anything about it. So that's my most recent...
so the issue that there's the police, LASTMA, also
dichotomy, I think that's happening.
But let me take this call from Elijah before I come to PC. Elijah, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please. You're live.
Good morning, Mariah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ladies in the house. As regards the issue of LASTMA you are bringing up this morning is a very good one, and I think it's timely. As far as I know, the Lagos where we used to know in those days, in terms of traffic, is...
We're having difficulty hearing you because of the TV at the background. Could you reduce the volume of the TV, please?
Oh, sorry there. The Lagos we used to know in those days without LASTMA is not what we used to have these days. And I want to tell you that their emergence has been very effective in reducing traffic jam in Lagos. But having said that, there are lots of anomalies being committed by these officials of the last one. Let me quickly mention one or two. I live in Ikorodu, and at some point, each time we have impediments on the road, you see last man officers, they will pass you, especially in my 12 houses, they will pass you through the Bounty corridor. And before you drive for 1 minute, before getting to the next exit that will take you out of the Bounty corridor, you see another set of last man officers that will apprehend you and forcefully take your car from you. They will drag you like as if you are engaging with stout, which is quite unprofessional. And this has often been reported, yet the state government seems not taking drastic actions against them. That is one. Number two, I was in Sabo Ikorodu one day. I wanted to take a keke going towards Adamo. So I parked my car somewhere. They don't know me. They don't know my identity. So the last man, a last man officer, a lady, stopped the keke that I boarded and begged that rider to take a woman, probably a neighbor or her mother, I don't know. And the next moment, the last man ahead stopped that rider, that keke, and this man was shedding tears. And the one that stopped him and begged him to help carry that woman came to meet him, and this man did not listen.
I think you got the gist of that.
Yeah.
We lost that. Yes, let me go on a break. When I come back, we'll come back to BC. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Yes, thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing the activities of LASTMA. We're going to go on to BC. BC, you're going to say something.
Yeah, so the issue I personally have with LASTMA is when it comes to diversions. So I go around the whole of Lagos because of the nature of my job and business. I always have meetings. And then I come to a place using the Google map, and I don't know that they are working on the road. There's no announcement to say that this place is condoned off. And Google doesn't know. Google will just drive you into
the dead end.
to the dead end. And then you see one official coming out to say, yeah, you, park there. What are you doing here? I don't live around here. I use the Google. And you'll be explaining to them. But it seems to me like they don't pay attention to what, once their mind is set that you have committed a crime, whether you're a first offender, you're not a first, you are not any offender, it's a crime. And they're not even bothering to explain and try to understand. So for me, I think they need to work with technology. Let us even have an idea that these roads are condoned, or find a way to liaise. I don't know how the Google map was set up for us in Africa here or Nigeria, but find a way to liaise so that people don't, fall into traps and then you're there just to extort them.
Abroad on the expressway, there are these screens that tells you, okay, please, there's a detour. You can exit up this way because there's a detour. So you know ahead of time.
And you're prepared
but here,
for
you just gonna enter that thing and you're now reversing.
But they don't tell us if there's a change.
They don't tell us. You don't know.
They're permanent. They have the ones that
Let me take this call from Hassan. Hassan, are you there? Good morning, you're live.
You see, this issue of LASTMA in Lagos, we should start with the laws. The laws guiding the law. The laws are draconian by nature. Let me cite one for you. One in the sense that, why should somebody's vehicle be confiscated because of taking one way? For life, you understand? Do you expect something?
Really, it's too harsh.
Are we listening?
We lost that. Yes, go ahead.
So actually, I agree with him, because we seem to have like a kill-agbe, kill-eju situation, which is like, what do we do? What's the response? Vehicle confiscation seems like a very huge offense, and I know that one way is terrible. Like, one way can lead to loss of lives. Yeah. But most people that do one way, usually our officials, our police officers do one way. Our army does one way. I've seen a PSP truck that is coming from this Olusosun refuse dump, taking one way on the express. And LASTMA officials saw this person doing it. So bringing me to the fact that, where does the power of LASTMA officials start? Where does it end? If you are powerful enough by law to impound a vehicle of a private citizen, but you are not powerful enough to see something wrong with a yellow bus, or...
No. Those guys get violent.
Yes. I have seen firsthand.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You victimize the ones you can impose on.
The ones that seem
that
sane.
are causing huge challenges to the society get free because they are more powerful than you.
So it goes back to what Hassan said, the law. First of all, they can't be armed.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So how is the law protecting the LASTMA official from those criminal elements?
Like I said, technology, but I want to even go somewhere else, because I was on the island on Sunday, and what I saw worried me, and it skipped my mind when we were starting this conversation, and I must mention it. I saw a bus loaded, like coaster bus, those white but really, really old one, loaded full with a speaker on top and a group of boys sitting on the bus. Then some of them were hanging through the windows, sitting on the window. And they were playing loud music on the road, also by the way. And I saw LASTMA officials, and they saw them drive by. They didn't stop them. If my own tail light is broken, they will stop me, or I do something.
So what's their job description?
To clear the road traffic. But these people, on the way, when I was coming back, this same vehicle now had these guys coming back, probably from the beach or something, and then they had knives. They were like, see, what I'm talking about is the violence part. Yes. The people that can commit the greatest harm to us get away scot-free because they are strong.
So would you want should communicate to police? You can't put the LASTMA in that kind of situation. The job is traffic.
Okay, yeah. Just to answer that, there was one time, a long time ago, one of my friends, a naval officer, we went to the Balogun market, and then there was a fight, that broke out. And she said she had to go into. I'm like, why? She says, I'm a security, I must intervene. Yes, even though I'm not a police officer or whatever, I have to step in. And that is what I would expect really a LASTMA official to do, to be able to point it out to whoever it is responsible. Because that area, I'm telling you, opposite stadium, we cannot continuously say that, well, it has nothing to do with us. Exactly. We have moved it to the police, and then nothing is being done. It causes accidents, it causes congestion. And then you're right. Many times you see the yellow buses or a car that is rickety, just get past. They do anything and get past.
Let me take this
normal person will be stopped.
Murphy, are you there? Thanks for calling. Are you there? Hello, Murphy.
Yes, I can hear you.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
The LASTMA officials, especially the ones at the Oshodi side, they are very, very clandestine in their activity of extorting road users. It is clear that when these guys have so much perfect the system that anytime they just stop any car, they try to make you in a way that you get out of your person. So you probably argue with them once in a while on issues, because one, they will not tell you the offense that you have actually committed. Secondly, they will begin to ask you for your car key, because at that point you will resist. Then the next thing they will do, they will bring a towing van between 2-3 minutes, because this is what happened to me. A LASTMA officer stopped me, and I parked the car, and I wind down the car, and immediately I begin to ask him, what's my offense? And he said, no problem, just come down from the car. I said, but just tell me I'm here, you're here. So just tell me. He said, no, I should come down from the car. Immediately, as I was in the car, they have already called the towing van to come to pick the car. Wow. Immediately, they are taking the towing van. I came down from the car and said, but you have not said anything concerning my offense. And they took the car to their office. And the reason why they do all these things is because they have a method that if the car gets to their office, they are going to extort you from their office, and probably they will take more money from you. So they take the car to the office. They did not give you a ticket. They did not give you anything. So when you get there, they will tell you to wait for those LASTMA officers who actually arrested you to come back. So when you are there, you see a lot of people that they are doing the same thing too. So you wait for them. They will come at night. Already you are frustrated. Already you are under pressure. Then you need to leave that place. So they begin to give you demands that, okay, if you want your car to leave today, this is what you are going to pay. And this demands without a ticket, without any proof of the fact that you have committed any offense. They will ask for those money from you and tell you that's the only way you can go. When you tell them, okay, let me give you the money so that you can bring my car out, they are going to give you
Murphy,
account numbers that are probably...
Murphy, I get the point.
Yes,
so
yes,
you're telling me that you were stopped for absolutely no reason. They didn't tell you what the offense was. Or do you have an idea what you could have done to cause them to stop you?
Okay, so immediately they stopped me. I don't know what the offense was, but when I stopped and I wind down the car and I begin to ask the LASTMA officer, what is the issue? And the LASTMA officer said, no, I should come down. So at that point he went to the front. I was still in the car while he was at the front of the car. So I waited. So immediately I waited. I was saying, well, can't you just come so that you can tell me the offense? So the next officer, which probably be his own boss, called the towing van to tow the car that since I don't want to come down.
So they didn't tell you your offense?
Okay. I just wanted to be sure there was offense, because I know that we have LASTMA PRO who has been... Thank you very much, Murphy, for your story. We've had a few, even the LASTMA DG has been here. We've had a few of the officials. So, and they tell us that there's always a way to lay your complaint in this kind of... Because there'll always be all those bad eggs amongst them. But this particular story is quite interesting because it's one of these stories that we must relay to the boss of LASTMA, especially in that area. They must ensure that people, you can't stop somebody for no reason, just go and get it.
So I think that they need to review their rules of engagement, and Nigerians need to understand what their rights are. So if a LASTMA official stops you and he's questioning you or asking you to step down, what are your rights as a Nigerian? Do you step down from the car? Are you allowed to step down? Does the law protect you? Or, you know, we need to understand what we as Nigerians are supposed to do exactly and what they are supposed to do. So I know that in the police case, there was a time, when I was coming all the way from Alagbado, the police, we have a lot of police issues on the road. They'll stop you. They'll ask you for this and that. So my husband had to re-educate me on some of the things I needed to show them and the things I'm not supposed to show them. So you don't be asking me for ownership of car in the middle of the road. Asking me for receipt of the car in the middle of the road and who owns the car and all that. It's not your job. So I know the things to present to them and all that. So they need to, LASTMA as an official body needs to present to us how we can begin to protect ourselves. That's one. Also, I noticed there's no synergy between the security agencies. They're always fighting each other. And we can't, because for me, if my husband was a LASTMA official, I would not ask him to stop the yellow buses because I've seen what they can do to them. I would ask him, if you see yellow bus, please shift. If you see ordinary people, stop them. At least those ones, we expect them to be sane. Because I need him to protect his life as well. And I also believe that we should protect one another. So if there's synergy between them, they know when the yellow buses are becoming very unruly, that the police around can come in and step in. Right. So that where the limitations of the LASTMA officials end, that's where the one for the police starts, and they can work together. So they need to work in synergy. I think we've been able to make our voices heard. We have to wrap up on this. Let's take a few more comments.
Okay, I was just going to say that for these buses, yellow buses, is it that LASTMA do not have like phones to take pictures of the yellow that escaped?
They know
and
where
then
they
prosecute them when they finally get to them? Because
Do
these buses have, they're registered and they have parking lots where they finally end the day. So we should be able to trace them.
The story of the man that called, also just as I traveled, my staff was supposed to go to Ekpe, and on their way to the site, they were supposed to pick up a client. So the client said, I'm not at the bus stop. So they moved ahead. And when the client said he was, they stopped there, which was right in front of do not stop sign. So the LASTMA official came in and struggled the key to the vehicle and took the key. That can't you see a do not stop sign? And the man was like, no, he was using his hands for that. He wasn't holding his phone. And the client was saying, no, after the bus, just after the bus stop, just after the bus stop, just after the bus stop. And he kept moving forward until the point where the client said he was. And there was a do not stop sign. So I first harassed my staff that you had no business stopping at the do not stop sign. Well, guess what? They took that day because they took the vehicle, the office vehicle, all the way to Oshodi. And that meant the clients dropped from the car. Everybody now went to Oshodi and we're now waiting. Oh, yeah, call Oga, and I was not around. You know, so it's a process. You could have taken that picture of the vehicle. You have my number plate and send me the bill. You could have taken that picture of the vehicle and ensure that you would. There's no way I will not get it because you have my message, my text. I get text messages from the officials for my registration. So we could do those things so that you don't waste people's valuable time. And they could have imported the vehicle like that, and you'd not be waiting till whenever to get the vehicle. And we had to pay, by the way.
Okay. All right. So that is feedback. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm having this conversation, so that Nigerians can call in and let us know the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that hopefully governments can begin to see where they can help fix the problem. So that
maybe next time we should also do VIO. We need to know why they're
POS.
With their POS.
We'll do VIO next. All right. Okay, let's go on a break now. When we come back, move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, in continuation of our series on their Papa Gridlock, what was that? I was going to look for that pidgin word. Basbos. On our Papa Gridlock Basbos, we have the managing director, Trucks Transit Parks Limited, under the Public-Private Partnership PPP, Mr. Jamal Ongu-Buariri. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Maria.
He will be discussing more on the allegation of the extortion and corruption in that axis. And the allegations and counter-allegations we'll be discussing for how many weeks now? So to join the conversation, call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also send us messages on Facebook and YouTube. We'll be happy to read your messages. Sir, one of the first things I'd like to ask you is, why is the e-collop system failing? I mean, we asked the question to our last guest, and he told us that it's because people actually do register online.
Yes.
But some people with Man United connections or Arsenal connections go ahead and jump the line, and that causes congestion. So is that true? And if it is, how can we avert this and stop it from happening?
Okay. I will say that the Papa Gridlock is 51% man-made and 49% infrastructure deficit.
Okay.
Now, talking about the part about the 51%, so this is what they call simple majority, right? You have scenarios where individuals who feel privileged because of relationships that they have with stakeholders who are in positions to make decisions and to make policies or even enforcement use those privileges to try to get ahead of others illegally. So let me describe to you how the call-up system works. And I will say it is not failing, but it needs to be enhanced. It needs to be strengthened and reinforced. We created a platform where anyone who owns a truck and needs that truck to go into their Papa ecosystem for any business can register that truck and then register the drivers whom he uses to move those trucks. And then when you have a business, whether it is in the ports or in any of the other ecosystems within Apapa, you could select the truck that matches the business you want to do, then mate that truck to a driver who is already on your system, and then you book the itinerary of that truck and then make payment online. What this entitles you to is to generate a ticket that has a unique number, which unique number you can use to tag into any park, pre-gate, or port, depending on what your itinerary and destination is. So if it happens, for instance, that you want to go to the Apapa port and you are coming from Ekwe, for instance, there is a truck park in Ekwe which your ticket entitles you to be able to go in. So there is an access barrier that is automated, that is linked to the app. So immediately you get there, you show your ticket. You can either punch it in yourself, the driver now, or you can ask the gate control personnel to assist him to punch it in. That opens the barrier for him to go in. The system checks the availability of space at the next park it is going to. That could be the Lily Pond Truck Transit Park. And if there is space there, and the terminal within the port that that truck is to go into also has space to receive that truck or the container, or to load a container onto that truck, if it is what we call a flatbed, then the system would enable the driver to get a notification, which also helps him to use the code he used to come in to exit that park. So you shouldn't be able to exit that park without the code that brought you in. And that code needs to be electronically activated for your exit. So it is a warehousing or gating system for trucks. So just as we have an estate here that you don't come in without passing through the gate, and you are not allowed to just litter anywhere. If you're coming in, you're giving a tag, and as you're going out, you drop the tag. It's the same system.
Sounds great.
Yes. Sounds great.
I want you to I want you to now get to the next level.
So the truck is now expected to use that electronically automated access to leave that park, get onto the Ekwe Lagos VI Road, and drive all the way to Lily Pond in Ijora. Now, there are stakeholders who impact the movement of this truck. I mentioned the terminal operator, who is the landlord of the ultimate destination of the truck. He needs to notify us electronically that I am expecting this truck, I'm expecting the truck that is coming with this container or that is coming to pick up this container.
With the code.
Correct. If that notification is not done, the movement of that truck cannot be activated. Now, this is what will happen sometimes. This truck driver, because he feels he is in a hurry, or he feels that, let me get closer to the port before I start looking for the business, he will either not book, or book but not enter the park, and then he has some watts of money with him, with which he will bribe the police and the LASTMA officials on his route. Some of them even go as far as bribing the owner of the park to
allow them entrance.
No, not allow them entrance, but to use their code to simply let them in and out without them being at the park.
Why?
So, because you being in the park gets you in onto the road.
It's clear.
So, one person at a time. But somebody will pay the owner of the park and say, please, here's my code. Simply press on the access barrier so that it opens, and on the system shows me in the park, but the truck is not there.
So they can source for other business while waiting.
Correct. They can either source for other business while waiting, or try to get closer to the port before they even get the business that they are coming for.
Corruption.
So not only is and that is why I said it is 51% man-made, and that man-made is corruption. So there's a simple majority of corruption as cause of their Papa traffic.
Emily, I'll let you pause. Perhaps when I come back, I'll let Mariam ask a question, because this is a really, really serious process you just explained to us, and we need to understand exactly where the loopholes are. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thank you very much. We still have the MD of the Collab, the company in charge of the e-Collab system, so we can get better clarity on how the process was. Mariam, you're going to ask a question.
So from what you've explained, it sounds really great on paper. And what I understand is if it works the way it's supposed to work, we shouldn't have these trucks on the road.
Correct.
So my question is, who are those in charge of causing, and can you name them? Because we have many people that come and say, there are some people. We would like names. Who are those in charge of causing this gridlock if the call-up system already caters to making sure that gridlock doesn't happen?
Okay. So this is supposed to be a synergy between various stakeholders. You have we ourselves who are at the back end managing the call-up system, the batching and scheduling system for trucks. You also have the terminal operators who are supposed to notify us electronically of their readiness to receive trucks and to exit containers from the ports. You also have the Lagos State Enforcement Team who are supposed to ensure that the traffic keeps flowing. And whenever there's a bottleneck, they will intervene to find out what is causing the bottleneck. Okay. So if it is a truck that has not gone through the process, that now wants to force its way through, they are supposed to tow and arrest that truck away from the road to ensure that the traffic keeps flowing. You also have the road construction that is going on around, especially the Tinkan area. About 40% of the road is in bad shape. You can see it from all the pictures if you just Google it.
Terrible.
And sometimes you see, as you can even see from the picture on the screen, you can see that there's a portion of the road that is waterlogged. We don't know how deep the gully is. So sometimes you have trucks falling there and then their containers getting spilled over. And that will cause gridlock for hours until they are towed. Sometimes the gridlock itself will not allow a towing truck to get there in good time. But I think that what is causing the problem is corruption.
Who are the people?
Lack of sincerity, lack of infrastructure, and the desire by some stakeholders to get ahead of others.
What are these stakeholders? So
we have the transporters, right, who would explore every possible avenue to try to get ahead of others. The closer you are to the ports, the more likelihood of you getting prime business. So some would, even when they do not have a business yet, will want to shift their way to the port as much as possible. And they will need to bribe their way to do that, because if you are closer, you get a business that is ready, you can deliver it faster, and you can charge more for it. You also have scenarios where, because I want to go ahead of others, I need to bribe the person who should have prevented me from getting ahead of others when I've not gone through the process.
So it's basically greed and the Nigerian factor of us wanting to shunt and get ahead.
Correct. Like I said, that's 51% of the problem.
Of the time. So for me now, what are the measures?
Infrastructure, he said.
Lack of infrastructure.
So what are the measures now that your organization, your company is putting in place to fish out those people who log in and log out? Yeah, because it looks like they are there, but they are not there. But since you're using technology, you should be able to fish them out. Is there any plan?
This has been done, and it's a continuous process. From time to time, we do an electronic audit of how long it takes trucks to go in and out of parks. So that will help us to see whether somebody has breached the process. So if, for instance, you came into this park and in 2 minutes you're out, that's an obvious flag. So we will check the ticket history of that truck and then check. Yes, correct. And then check with the owner of the park how come a truck came in and left within 5 minutes. So that's obviously a breach. In fact, together with MPA, we've blacklisted some of these truck parks in the past and gave them strict conditions for their being reopened. So it is an ongoing process.
Let me take this call from Honorable Dambaba. Good morning, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Actually, I just want to contribute a little about what the MD is saying for people to be getting closer to the port. The reason why I want to advise the MD that they should call those terminals. Maybe it's not his fault, it's government officials that need to keep on that. If you are not getting to the port, people that have the import, their goods, they always like to have the truck that is available close to the port before they can give their video out to carry. So there's people that are using Dangote call-up. There's another company that have privilege more than others, like HSC and Co. They always use that kind of opportunity to use those call-up and carry the goods. If you don't close out to the port, they give you TDO 2 days, because the importer, if he did not carry the TDO, is always expired. And if they expire, you have to pay additional money. So I think this is a responsibility of the government to talk to those terminals that they should not be charging the importers sort of expiring TDO money, so that everybody will be orderly to stay where they are.
That's another factor.
Yes.
He's right.
Okay, let me just add.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Thank you. So here is, obviously, it's like we all agree, corruption within the system. I believe that trying to forcefully compel compliance hasn't been effective. All the tax forces, all of them are failed. Compromised over time. Yeah. How about we get ownership and buying so that everybody is made to understand the long-term effect, like what he mentioned. The one I know is goods getting bad because within agricultural exports, a lot of goods get bad before they get to ship out. And there is a short lifespan for the products going out. There are cases where the cashew value dropped in 2018, dropped drastically simply because we had a glut that we had no business having because there's a huge demand for cashew. Yeah. But we couldn't meet the demand at the right time. So we had a glut because the shipping didn't let it go out in time.
Osegale said efficiency is a determinant factor in this economy. Yeah. So because if we can't get those things out on time,
those that can get it in time will get the benefit. So how do we get that buying off? We will all win if we wait. Because in Nigeria, it is outsmarting each other that has always made people feel like they can get away with it.
I agree with you, Tokwe. So this is what has happened in the past 6 months. TTP with Nigerian Ports Authority have initiated a process of having an export processing zone within Lily Pond Container Terminal in Ijora.
Fantastic.
So this is expected to kick off in Q1 of 2022.
Okay.
What that export terminal is going to do is to ensure that trucks that are conveying export products to the ports, they are inspected before they hit the road. So with that inspection, everything that customs would have needed to do within the ports would have been done at that terminal. Good. So all the documentation you need to do, you can do it there, and immediately you hit the road, it's straight into the port. Lily Pond to the Apapa port will take you about 10 minutes if there is no traffic, even for a truck. Today, exports take between 24 to 48 hours to get in. And when I say 48 hours, that's the extreme scenarios. There may be something happened on the road and they can't get in. The export, the speed of getting exports into the port has increased within the past 6 months since we came on board. Okay. But that's something that you also need to note about the process of moving containers into the port. What typically happens is that the guy who is carrying an export container or who is returning an empty container to the port would wish to get a return business.
Okay.
So when they get there, they don't leave.
So either he slows down getting there until someone calls him and say, I have an import container I would like you to take out when you're leaving. Or when he gets in there, he starts loitering.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So, like I said, it is 51% human and 49% infrastructure.
So they will not leave.
So let me see what I've noticed as...
I have to pause you, Mariam. Mohammed has been holding for a while. Mohammed, are you there for my gig? You're live. Go ahead, please. Yes, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. On this issue of brokers checking in and checking out of parks without actually being there, I would suggest that DTP should recruit staff that will go there, go to those parks, and be checking trucks in and out by themselves in order to reduce the trucks that are congesting roads. You understand, bro? So they should recruit their staff to go to these parks. When they get to this park, any trucks that are checking, they will see. Every truck that are checking out, they will see. So that there is no way a trucker will connive with a park operator to check in trucks and check out trucks without physically being in the park. Because this is
Thank you, Mohammed. As long as they're not Nigerian.
They are human beings. The more human beings you put there, the more channel for money making.
Let me tell you, ladies, what typically happens. Bala Mohammed, thank you very much for that comment. So the truth is this. There are some of the truck parks. We've already installed cameras there. And we can see the cameras from our office. Okay. So typically, the cameras are supposed to be what we used to check, that these trucks are in your park, and this is the time for them to leave, and we can see them. Okay. Some truck parks will go and turn off the cameras.
Wow.
They'll turn them off. Or redirect their view to where you will not see what's happening at their truck parks. So, but Nigerian Ports Authority have been very, very consistent in ensuring that when these infractions are done, then those parks are penalized. Either they are shut down for a while, or they are asked to meet some requirements before they are reopened. As recent as 2-3 weeks ago, there were complaints about that regarding some of the parks that are used for shuttling trucks into the Tinkan Island port. And that is part of the reason why I mentioned earlier that somebody would pay instead of going into the park and then hang on the road. However, the good news is that currently there is
good news.
Yes,
Okay.
there's a review. There's a review we're doing with the Nigerian Ports Authority at the moment to upgrade the system to ensure that if you already have not gotten a return business in the port and you're taking an import container or an export container, you will simply go in, drop that one and leave.
My parents live around Amuwodofin.
Right.
So it would be terrible if Nima is not around and I cannot speak for that area.
Right.
So there are terminals in that, once you turn off that second rainbow.
Correct.
There are terminals there. And because terminals are there, the entire road
is blocked with tankers.
Is blocked with tankers. Then the one of container, where the container, where they pick up.
Bonded terminals.
Yes, bonded terminals. The road, they block the entire road. Is there any way, is there any system in place to ensure that, you know, you're not dealing with those ones, you're not dealing with the bonded terminals. Yeah. How do we ensure bonded terminals are also, what's the plan for bonded terminals in the call-up system too? Because they make life uncomfortable for residents within the area.
Okay, like I said, there is infrastructure deficit, which is the 49% that I mentioned.
I know the roads, they're actually bad.
So
really
apart from the road itself, we also do not have enough terminals to warehouse these containers. So because these terminals are not enough, sometimes even the spaces that trucks would have needed to come in to take the containers, there's no space within, so the trucks wait outside. And remember that there is a timeline for you to return a container that you used to import goods, or else you are going to pay or lose the deposit that you paid. So there is a rush on the part of the consignees of these goods to quickly return the containers to the port. So it's a whole bouquet of issues, right? Obviously. But this is what Lagos State government is doing. So I was coming to the good news, or the other part of the good news.
Because you're about to wrap up.
Right. So Lagos State government is trying to set up a mega park that would contain both a tanker park for the tankers, so that they can be brought into the e-column. Currently, the tankers are not part of the e-column. So, but they need a park that is dedicated to them because of the combustible nature of what they are carrying. So that mega park will also have a section for containers, so that if you are returning containers to any of the other bonded terminals and there's no space there, you can bring it there, and that will suffice for your return.
Let's wrap up on that good news. We'll wait. Do you have an idea of the timelines Lagos is going to do this for us?
I don't work for Lagos State, so,
good news that
I cannot speak for Lagos State.
We just hope
it's
that
hard to be hopeful
that it works.
See, I'm happy that there's a system in place, that we have an electronic call-up system that's supposed to function. The problem now is us, the human beings running it. I just pray that God can just sabotaging it. As if God should just help our brain. Just God should evaporate the brain and bring a new brain for all of us. Because it's like we're just a bunch of
we need that to do not change. We need that to do not change.
Let us go on a break. Thank you very much for coming. You know?
Thank you, Mariah.
I mean, you just helped us understand clearer
what the real problems are.
But hopefully we'll continue to monitor. It's us. The government. Is it not
we
us?
are the ones.
We are the ones.
We are the ones bribing. We are the ones collecting the bribe.
Exactly. So government has put a system in place, but we are sabotaging it. So please, let us blame rights. Let us go on a break. When we come back, it's Tuesday. We have to touch on health. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to our health. So this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's an annual campaign to raise awareness about the impact of breast cancer. And to commemorate this, we have with us a clinical pathologist and managing director, CEO of Cleaner Lancet Laboratories, Dr. Olayemi Odaudu. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good to have you.
Good morning.
I love your neck piece, though.
Thank you.
Right, so breast cancer, we talk about this every single year. And honestly, many people hear about it, but they do nothing about it. So they know that, oh, yeah, we're supposed to, but they just never get around to it. So what's the theme this year, and how do we ensure people actually go out to get checked?
So it's around early detection this year. And to get people to go out, I think it's still right around the health awareness and health education bit. We really still need to go out into the community and use all the avenues that we have to raise awareness on the importance of, clinical, self-examination, even from the primary healthcare centers, where we also disseminate information, as in people coming into the community to teach us about examining our breasts, to raise awareness in terms of radiological investigations that are available for us, the mammograms, and giving the age limits. Once you're 40, you're expected to get your mammogram done, and then during self-examination, if you actually find a lump, there are actually places where you can go to for them to do.
It's a mammogram, eh? Because that thing is so painful and
Don't discourage us that we're not born.
But you see,
if I hear pain, I'm not going again.
There's a simpler way. They gotta press your...
It's very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
So let me share. So I do I'm very, very serious about this health checkup because I've heard plenty stories of the person was okay, they just slept, they did not wake up. And most of the time it is because they did not know something was going on, because we tend to just, women, especially for women, we are used to taking things in. We have responsibilities. You have children, you have bills, you're working. So even until the thing really knocks you down before they go down. So I went for my check at my birthday in May, and I put it online safe because I don't have any secret. I got a negative, really scary 2 reports, and I was told come back and check. And I did not go back since May. I just checked last week because I just did not want to.
What's the news, please?
And I was praying. My breast scan was done because I'm not 40, so they didn't do mammogram. So they did a breast scan and they said, oh, nothing for you to worry about. When you say that, I have panicked, my heart went and came back. How can you check? He said, but I just feel like you should have your left breast checked again. I quickly went to our Alagbo extraordinaire and I bought all the agbo, was rubbing orishirishi oil and all of that. So I went last week to have it checked the second time. I was supposed to do 3 months, but I didn't. I just wanted to have more time. And they said, okay, it was just a small, this is very, very, this is what they're talking about, very, very, very small cyst. So I wanted to understand the panic that comes with, how do we deal with that emotional panic? When I now hear breast, in between that time, once I hear breast kidney, I'll start feeling a tingle where there should not be anything go. So how do we deal with the panic of getting checked? And what's the difference between having a cyst or those small nodes and having a lump?
Okay, so that's a good question, and I do understand the anxiety, around all that. But basically, if you had a check and they found something that they thought you should check further, what usually happens, so for someone like me who's an anatomic pathologist, what happens is you have an examination, a clinical examination, and a scan, like in your case. A cyst is found. What we would usually encourage is for you to get to the clinic to check what is going on in there. And so we're having that. There's a procedure we have as anatomic pathologists where we use a needle to take some cells.
Biopsy.
So it's a fine needle aspiration, cytology, or biopsy. And what you do is you use a needle you examine the breast, and then you also have the scan that has been done, and you use it to locate where the lump is. You take this needle and you take some cells from that cyst or lump, put it on a slide, stain it, and look at it under the microscope. And we are the ones that can tell you whether the cells that we're seeing are just cells or it's just inflammation, benign, not cancer cells. And if there's cancer there, we're the ones that will tell you that. But, that would really be the most appropriate approach to really get to the bottom of what it is. Right. I must admit that when we hear cancer and we talk about cancer, I usually say it's a very complex disease, and it requires a lot of specialists to deal with it. It's not just the oncologist. So just like she said, even when that diagnosis has been made, you also need a psychologist to actually sit and speak to.
I am more focused on prevention, and I know a lot of people have said you can't really prevent cancer when it wants to come. But there's a myth that I heard, I don't know if it's right, that especially for the breast cancer, when you do breast massages and you press, you touch more often, than normal, you may not have any form of lump developing there. It helps to keep those vitals, going well, because you know that after we have kids, most times some people are not touched.
Right. So to be honest, as a scientist, I always go with evidence-based medicine, and I am not very aware of any studies that can corroborate. Corroborates that. I think by and large, what we still stick with is your self-examination, getting your ultrasound scan done before you're 40. When you're 40, your mammograms being done, and those are ways that you also use to ensure that you pick it up in time.
Is there a right or wrong way to do the tests? Sorry. Right or wrong way to do the self-examination test?
Yes, there's a technique of how you should do it in terms of ensuring you're pressing the breast tissue against the chest wall properly with the flat of your palm to ensure that you can catch anything change in consistency.
Oh, this one? Press. Yes.
So you
raise your hand up and then you press.
You raise your hand up. You can do it under the shower. You do it the 4 quadrants. So we divide the breast into 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And then but it's a normal everyday lump, right?
No, you won't feel it if you do like this. Yes. If you're doing the right thing, you will not feel the regular lump.
Laying down as well, you do the same thing so that there's no muscle tension as well to ensure you can.
Okay, what would you say that would give someone confidence? That someone who, what would you say the things that the person can do? Give the person the confidence that, okay, I'm taking the right step towards making sure that I'm checking myself instead of waiting until it's an emergency. So it just gives a person a confidence. What do I need to do daily? What do I need to do weekly or monthly? To ensure that I'm taking proper care of myself and making sure that if anything comes up, it will be found quickly.
So it still goes back to what I mentioned earlier in terms of your self-examination. Sometimes it's a clinical examination. You actually go to the clinic for a doctor to examine you the way we've said by a specialist, doing your scan, your mammogram, but by and large, still along the same lines of keeping healthy. Yeah. Exercising, eating right, and those things that come with that. Ensuring we're not obese, because we know that obesity gives a higher propensity to develop most types of cancer.
Yeah. But how often, the clinical ones we've talked about, how often would you say someone would do?
So I would recommend that you have checks twice a year, every 6 months.
Oh, wow.
A wellness check. And what do I mean by that? So apart from, honestly.
Every 6 months.
Okay.
Wow. Twice a year. And then also, there are also ways to ensure that you know your health status, screening wellness tests, just your normal wellness tests, because we have people who have picked up that they have cancers when they went to run a test in the lab, which is a wellness package that tests for tumor markers and all those kind of things. Yeah. Apart from examining, and then they notice, oh, this is high, and that is what prompts them to go further.
And investigate.
And investigate.
I have 2 questions for you, but maybe you can answer them one after the other. My first question is getting the right diagnosis. I had someone who recently passed with cancer, and there was a time that, yes, they told us, oh, it's cancer because of the tumor markers. And then we're asked to do a biopsy. But then the pathologist or whoever did a blind biopsy, and it told us, oh, it's not too, it's fibrosis. So we're there giving testimony, oh, hallelujah, thank God it's not cancer, And then the pain was still there, and, and just a week after, we did another biopsy because we advised, because she was still in pain. And then they announced that, oh, yeah, it's cancer.
Wow.
So how does it happen that you get a blind biopsy so the right diagnosis is my problem. We have that issue, that's number 1. Let you answer first before I go to the next question.
Okay, so expertise matters. Now, I'd like to ask what kind of biopsy was done. So I always use this analogy. The breast is an orange. Okay. And like you said blind. So I don't know if this person had a radiological investigation prior to that. But you have an orange and you put a needle in the orange. If it was a fine needle aspiration cytology like that I spoke about earlier that was done, the probability of, if you're not close to the lump, blind, like you said, and you go into it and picking up, some fibrosis that might be there, is highly likely as well. It doesn't mean there's nothing there. So what is really usually ideal, and I don't know how old this person was, depending on age, if you find a lump that is significant enough, it should be taken out. So I would recommend a lumpectomy. Depending on age, you might want to start with a cytology, like I mentioned earlier, ensuring you're within the lump. And you have cells from within the lump to decide, oh, don't worry about it, let's watch it, let's not take it out. But if it was in an adult or an elderly person, I would suggest a lumpectomy would have been done, which would have given a better view of what the properties
the
of
second
the lumps
question,
were.
therefore, is when a family member has cancer, so those around them, the children, the siblings, I was told that we had to do a BRCA test to find out if you have the genes. But it's so expensive. I'm like, how many people can afford a BRCA?
So we actually do it in my lab.
Oh, really? Okay, so, I mean, I went to go and get a BRCA test.
I mean, it's
and
only
when
celebrities
man
we
finished, I said, you know what? We'll talk about this another time.
For one person.
It's so expensive.
It's only Hollywood celebrities, actually. I've heard this test.
Yeah.
One person.
I'm saying.
But you can do a susu now. Gather the money.
So the question is, if the family loved one passed, what can loved ones around them do to to check or to even aside from BRCA? What else can you do to know that?
Aside from that is what we've been talking about earlier, because now you have a first-degree relation, your mother or your sister that has it, so the risk of any female in that family is very high. Wow. You just still have to do all your screening early and frequently. Not
like
necessarily.
Clinic, is there like a package for the family to reduce the costs for them? So you're coming up with a family.
When you say package for a family, no, there's just a cost per person. Because the molecular test is very expensive.
Wow. So discouraging. We've heard, there are other, even more heartbreaking cases of children. And, you'd never assume that children would have breast cancer or men would have breast cancer. But we've been hearing lately of those situations. Why does it happen for children and why does it happen for men?
So for men, you always have breast cancer in them, just a lower percentage than women would. And it's for the same reason. Cancer is caused by an abnormality of cells of growth.
In that
Let's put it that way. So regardless of what causes it, whether it's environmental, physical, or a virus, that is the basis of cancer. For children, I think we really do need to look at the environment, because you see, there are non-modifiable factors and there are modifiable factors. So non-modifiable factor would be what you mentioned. You have a family history, and so we're now talking about genetics now, but there are modifiable ones, like I mentioned earlier. Having a balanced diet and all those things, we're exposed to a lot nowadays. I would tell you, I remember I starting on a study which was done, it was probably maybe about 6-7 years ago, where they found out that the use of microwaves in warming food sheds a lot of plastic into the food that we ingest. Things like that. And the body is not equipped with any sort of system to degrade or get rid of that. Really, do we really know the full effect of what that is? So what am I trying to say? In terms of the age limits coming down, you have environmental factors. But I will also say that when you have a first-degree relation that has cancer, then you can have them coming down, especially with breast cancer, at a lower age than the normal age.
So we need to wrap up. Thank you so much, Dr. Dauda, for sharing with us. Today's show,
As in,
so many emotions.
I need to go and get ice cream after.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
The way to sum it up is just get tested, catch it early.
And
early
pray.
detection prayer is good, but just make sure you get
the doctor will say just get tested.
Okay, I hope you've learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.